Samajkoawaj.com.
Namaste. For the recording, preservation and enhancement of the Nepalese history, culture and heritage, today we are at the Makawanpur castle. It's a well-built castle. It was a palace. On behalf of Samajkoawaj.com television, today we are going to speak about this castle. First of all, this castle was built by the Sen king Luhang Shen. The Sen dynasty begins from India, some part of India. Then after they arrives in Nepal, namely Butul and Palpa areas, then they established very strong kingdom over there. The first king was Mani Mukunda Sen, who had built several palaces, forts over Butul and Palpa areas. And his son, one of his son, very brave son named Luhang Shen, he marches their campaign of, I could say, unification from Narayani rivers to eastern side up to Tista, Jaldhaka, very close by to Bangladesh. So, after a few years, he declares himself as a king of this area. And he names his kingdom as Makawanpur kingdom. And he identified this place as his palace. And this castle, this is very well built from the military viewpoint. It's not lesser than the Red Fort of Delhi, Agra Fort, so on, because those forts are in plain areas, built in larger scale. However, the technology, the palace, look at here, the ruined palace here, and the outer circle for the firing of cannon bays, the escaping door here, and it conducted with the natural obstacle here. It's a big slope cliff over the southern side, and it's on top of the mountain, very dominated mountain, and very good climate over here. So very good areas. So few Sen kings they rule over from here, and later the Harihar Indra Sen, his grandson, he built a contingency palace in Hariharpur. Within his kingdom, he named it as Hariharpur Castle because it was named after King Harihar Indra Sen. So it was very wealthy nation, wealthy kingdom. It has connection with the Calcutta, Patna, Banaras, and the hilly kingdom as well. This is the main lifeline for the trade and transit towards Tibet via Kathmandu valleys, kingdom of Kathmandu valleys. Definitely. It was very strong in the wealth, in the military power, in the geography as well. So, later on, King Prithvinarayan Saha, he gets married of this princess of this kingdom, the daughter of Hemkarna Sen, King Hemkarna Sen. He arrives here, but they had some confrontation, the conflict during the marriage day. The dispute began from the marriage ceremony day between King Prithvinarayan Saab Gorkha and his brother-in-law, Digbandhan Sen. King Prithvinarayan Saab returned without his bride. That was big insult for him. The conflict began, So later on, the unification campaign was already began. Prithvinarayan Saab was the Hasuk, and he was doing the blockade over the Kathmandu Valley periphery. So no trade and transit access was permissible from Tibet side, Kerung Bhod, Kuti Bhod, and this Makawanpur state. In the meantime, The last king, Digbandhan Sen, the brother-in-law of King Prithvinand Shah, he was spoiling Prithvinand Shah's intention, aim and plan. So he was doing his business very forcefully with the Malla king of Kathmandu Valley. King Prithvinand Shah, he made several requests not to be done that activities with his brother-in-law. But the last king of this castle, Digbandhan Sen, he refused it. He kept continue. So that was a big obstacle, big hurdle for the King Prithvinand Shah. So he had to launch a military operation over here. That was his compulsion. So he made a plan to launch an attack over here. So he prepared his attack, his induction of troops, his attack plan at Dahachuk. And he was ready. And he himself conducting the battle. He motivated several of his commanders. And he marched his troops via Dahachuk, Chitlang, Kulekhani, taken the Mahabharat ridgeline, finally this castle areas. So, but this, I talked you before, the kingdom was very powerful. The preparation had to make very strongly, very carefully. So, he also was a very experienced soldier, rather King Prithvinand Shah. He was a soldier, brave soldier, real soldier. He fought himself. So he knew he stand on the foot of the soldier. So he had not any confusion. So he made a very good plan. So he appointed his brother, the Prince Muhammad Kirti Shah, the main commander. Then after other his brothers, the Prince Dalmardan Saha, the Prince Surpratap Saha, the Prince Ranarudra Saha, the Prince Nandu Saha, and other commander like Kaji Bangsaraj Pandey, Kaji Nahar Singh Basnyat, Kaji Kher Singh Basnyat, Kaji Aviman Singh Basnyat, and many more were the other commanders. So almost 1,000 plus troops were allocated for the job to attack against this castle. So the troops marched from the Dahachuk on 17 August 1762, and the troops arrived here on 20 August 1762. And while they arrived here, they encircled the areas. And the king Digbandhan Sen of this castle, he knew this thing. So he was like a coward. He already sent his wife and his children and his wealth from here to Hariharpur Gadhi, because he was scared of the Gorkhali troops. So some of the troops and his minister Kanak Singh Bania, they were here. When the Gorkhali troops, they encircled this castle and other forts as well. So they had to fight over here for a few hours. Then after, the king Digbandhan Sen, he escaped from here. It's a escape door, and towards the Hariharpur Gadhi. Then after, the Gorkhali, they occupied this castle, including other forts over here, the surroundings. So it's the history of the unification campaign. Now the next history begins, very renowned international history from this castle. It was the battle against the foreign commander, the foreign nation, and the troops of the Mughal Empire from the Murshidabad. They came over here to capture this castle in order to capture Kathmandu Valley, in order for looting the temple of Kathmandu, Bhaktapura and Patan, as they did before by their ancestor from the Delhi and everywhere. We have several histories. the Muslim kings, emperors, they looted Kathmandu Valley. Even the kingdom of Simrangarh, the last king, Hari Singh Dev, his kingdom, his palace was made ruin by these Muslim invaders. Because always they fought against the Hindus at that time. I'm not talking the present days. So the Qasim Ali Khan, in the short name Mir Qasim, while he becomes Nawab of Murshidabad, then he thought about, he just dreams to loot the temples of Kantipur, Patna and Bhaktapur. He dreams as all are plated by gold and silvers. So he calls an Armenian Christian man namely Gregory. So he was very good fighter in Armenia. So he hired him to Murshidabad, and he converted his Christian religion into Muslim religion. Then he named as Gurgin Khan. The Christian Gregory becomes Muslim Gurgin Khan. And the Qasim Ali Khan, he appoints him as a military commander. And of almost 3,500 troops, almost one division troops, almost one division, one brigade troops. I cannot say brigade plus troop. So he marches from Murshidabad towards Makawanpur. That was on 1763. That was December 1763. And every time the Britishers, the foreigners, the Indians, they had to march during the winter season only. Otherwise, they would be caught by the malaria and killed. So that they had chosen the time in December. So, yes, Prithvinarayan Shah, he knew it. He knows it. At the Dahachuk fort, castle. And he inducted his troops. He started doing trainings, coordination, cooperation, the logistic management. And he appoints his prince, his brother, Nandu Shah, as a commander of Gorkhali troops to attack for the defensive offensive battle against the Mir Qasim. So the Gorkhali troops, they also marched from the Dahachuk. And before that, also this castle was manned by the Gorkhali troops, because it was under the Gorkhali king already. So again, King Prithvinarayan Shah, he made plan for the attack, defensive, offensive battle. So, and many other commanders like Nahar Singh Basnyat, Kaji Bangsaraj Pandey, and other many commanders were detailed under Nandu Saha, Sardar Nandu Saha. So, and the Mir Qasim troops arrives in Harnamadi, and Nepalese troops the Gorkhali troops were stations as for the defensive battle in many forts just near the plain areas, in mid-mountain areas here. So in the initial, the Mir Qasim troops, they could capture the Dadua Gadhis. They killed many Nepalese armies, Gorkha troops. After that, they were happy. They wanted to have rest for 3 days then, Gurgin Khan's troops. In the meantime, Prithvinarayan Shah was at Thingan areas. His tactical headquarters was there, rear headquarters was there. So he sent reinforcement from Dahachuk. He calls reinforcement from Dahachuk, and the troops arrives here in the command of Bakshi Nahar Singh Basnyat. And In the meantime, after 3 days, the Mir Qasim again starts his attack. He had uninstalled these castles, these areas. Then the big fight started. Big battle started. And whole days, the battle kept going. Many Muslim troops, they were killed. Even the Nepalese Gorkhali, they were killed. Finally, they wanted to have rest in the night time. So they were fallen back to the plain areas again. So they were harboring, getting rest. In the meantime, in the midnight, the Nepalese troops, the Gorkhali troops, they launched multi-directional attack at the harbor. So many hundred, the Muslim troops, they were killed. They deserted from the battle. Even the Mir Qasim, he fled from the battleground. And the battle was over. And Nepalese, the Gorkha army was able to confiscate more than 500 rifles, several thousand bullets, 2 cannons, and many equipments. And it was the big success in the Nepalese army's history, in the Nepalese history, in the international battle, in national war. So this castle, this Makawanpur castle, stand on very strong history and military culture. And the remarkable our history stands on 2 points after the Mir Qasim's defeat. The first was, it was an international battle against the foreign power, the first time within the Nepal, fragmented Nepal, the first time. The second was, after destroying the Mir Qasim's troops and confiscating many weapons from them, King Prithvinarayan Shah, he established 5 companies in western ranks and file. The first time, they were namely Srinath Company, Gorakh Company, Kalibox Company, Sabuj Company, and Barzabani Company. It was Barzabani, not Bardabahadur. So it is very important in the history of Nepal, the political history of Nepal, the military history of Nepal. Now, the other phase begins at this castle by the Anglo-Nepal War. The final history, the final record from this castle was the Anglo-Nepal War of 1814-16. The East India Company, which headquarters was in Calcutta, Patna at that time, as East India Company. Later, we named it as the Anglo-Nepal War, but we never fought directly with the Britishers. Well, the Britishers, they wanted to capture Tibet, Lhasa especially, because they always made colony over the globe for the money, wealth. So they knew that the Lhasa gets gold, wool, tea, and many more. Even the Peking, even the Mongolia. So they wanted to get access via Nepal, via Sikkim, the Nathula Pass, Kerunga and Kuti axis, and Kalapani, Nimpuria Dhurai axis. All these axes were controlled by the Nepalese government at that time. So that was impossible. So they made several negotiations. They sent several delegations to Kathmandu Darbar, but they failed it. So finally, they had to use the military might. Yes, of course. The war is a continuation of politics in other way. So they used military might, and Nepal did not allow the access from Nepalese soil from Sikkim to at that time, Kangra. So in this regard, they started making some artificial confrontation, some conflicts. It began from the land geography of Butol and Kapil Vastu. So the dispute began, and the war ignited from that Butol and Kapil Vastu. The cause is ignited from there, and the first contact began from the Nalapani. So the Britishers, they made attack plan from wider front, about 2,000 kilometer front, from Tista to Satluj. Very wide front, bigger front. The first front was from Bijaypur. The second front was from Makawanpur areas, including Hariharpur. The third front was from the Butol Palpa area. The next front was from Kumaon area. The other front was from Nalapani and Dehradun area. The next front was from Nahan, Srinagar areas. And the final front was at Gadwal, Satluj area. So look at the wider front, the bigger front. The Nepal had to scatter its troops, military mites. Very, very hard time for the Nepal. Nepal never expected very surprising declaration of war on 1st November 2015. It was almost the Dasai festival. Within a week, the Dasai festival was very close by. But Nepalese troops had to leave the family at the big festival which was coming up. So, within the many fronts, the Makawanpur front was very, very vital, very strategically valuable because it was very close by to Kathmandu, the capital city. So, Britishers also, they allocated big number of troops, about 12,000, led by Major General Bennett Marley. And from Nepalese side, Colonel Ranbir Singh Thapa, the younger brother of Bhim Singh Thapa, who became general later, he was the commander of this castle. So he deployed his troops in several places, including Someswar Gadi Chitaun, Someswar Fort Chitaun, Upardang Fort Chitaun, Kandrang Fort Chitaun, Chisapani Fort, Makawanpur. This Makawanpur castle itself, Makawanpur fort itself, Hariharpur Fort, castle, Sinduli Gadi, so on. So, also Britishers, they had scattered in several fronts, mostly in 3 fronts, from Parsa areas, Bara areas, and Samanpur area of Rauthat. He marched his division, and Nepal had to conduct a delaying action by luring the Britisher up to the mountain area, and the mountain area was supposed to be the death yards of the Britishers. But the Major General Marley was very coward man. He never wanted to fight against the Britishers, the Gurkhali troops. He made a delay even for during the advance. So, however, he arrives close by the border areas. In the initial stage, Nepalese troops, they killed several hundred Britishers at the Battle of Parsa Fort, Bara Fort, and Samanpur areas. Finally, the Major General Marley, he fled from the battle. He deserted from the battle. It was the first record in the military history, in the old. So, in the first phase, Nepal was victor from Tista to Mahakalik River. At every front, the Britishers were defeated. However, unfortunately, from Kali to Satluj, all front were defeated by the Britishers. So we had to vacate all the geography from Satluj to Kali. So our Nepal remains from Mahakali to Tista River at that time. From this event, even the Britishers were not happy, so they wanted to sign on a treaty, which they wanted to get access to Tibet. So again, they made a plan to launch attack against Kathmandu. So the Lord Moira, the then Governor General of East India Company from Patna, he appoints to Major General Octoloni as a commander of the division to launch attack against the Nepal. Major General Octoloni was the victor at the Battle of Malau, Rajgarh and that Gadol sector. He was the only victor at that time. And because of this, again he was reappointed to launch attack over this Makawanpur and Hariharpur axis. So, while he marches from India for the launching attack, assault against Makawanpur front, at that time, this area was commanded by Kazi Bakhtabar Singh Thapa, the next brother, and other subordinate commanders were Kazi Rana Jor Thapa, who was stationed at Hariharpur Fort, and Bada Kazi Amar Singh was stationed at Shinduli Fort. So, and look at the first phase commander, Colonel Ranabir Singh Thapa was not here. He was stationed at Bijapur areas. So it was a mistake. And in the second phase, the battle progresses. In the plain areas, Nepalese army could do nothing. And Major General Octoloni, he marches very speedily. And he had two-fronted, multi-directional attack. One via Bagmati sector, the next from Makawanpur sector. And he was behind of the Makawanpur sector. He arrives at the Harnamadi, Karra areas. Before that, before the fixed plan, estimated plan, the troops of Hariharpur axis, they could success. They had success. They launched attack at the Hariharpur beforehand, because the local government bureaucrats, the lower level, Halkaras, Bicharis, and some local people, they were bribed by the Britishers. The Britishers knew that very easily Nepalese could be under grip if they were provided the bribes. So the local people, the lower level bureaucrats, they guided the Britishers from the Bagmati axis, and they were supposed to arrive within 4 days, but they arrived within 1.5 days at the Hariharpur fort. And all of a sudden, they launched attack by almost 2 regiments, and Nepalese were stationed almost 500 troops, 600 led by Kazi Ranajor Singh Thapa, and many the Nepalese killed, almost 500 killed, and the troops, the remaining troops led by Ranajor Thapa, he withdrew to the Sinduli Gadhi and linked up with his father. In the meantime, when the Britishers became victor, so they chopped off many deities of the Hariharpur castle areas. They made ruin to the castle, and they remained there for 2-3 days. In the meantime, Nepal government was under pressure and threatened. The capital was threatened by the British, and almost all the the Darbar people, they agreed to sign on the draft agreement. And some delegation, they arrives here, and the Kaji Bakhtawar Singh Thapa and other people, they agrees, and the message was sent to Major General Aktoloni in Harnamari initially. So, without fighting in these areas, just after capturing the Hariyarpur castle, Gadhi, the Anglo-Nepal war was over. So we were compelled to sign on the Sugauli Treaty. The Sugauli lies not in Nepal, present Nepal. It is just beyond the Raksol area where I had been there. It is not in the Makawanpur Sugauli. Don't be confused, because the Britishers' headquarters and local headquarters officers were at the Sugauli areas. So it is highly possible the treaty was signed at the office of Sugauli areas, and we lost more than half portion of present geography of Nepal. We don't know, we have not calculated how far our southern geography were. Just we are talking about our mountain geography, mountain area only. So we are talking 1/3 geography. Is not true. We lost more than half portion of our present Nepal. So finally, before concluding, I would like to remind again, this castle, it was built by the Sen dynasty, the Lohang Sen, who built it very well. The architecture belongs to the Mughal Empire of India, very well built. Then it gets the Sen history, Sen dynasty. Then after the unification battle of the King Prithviraj Shah, it's a very good history. Then after the history of battle against Mir Qasim, it is from here. Finally, the history of Anglo-Nepal War. In the first phase, in the second phase, finally, this food leads for the Sugauli Treaty in 1816. So, we have got very sweet and sour history at this fort, at this castle. I would like to request the local government, Nepalese army, the final central government, all the civil society, it should be preserved as a museum, libraries, with the statues of King Prithviraj Shah, Mir Qasim, then after Major General Marleys, then after Major General David Aktoloni, because it is the history of the enemies of our self. So I salute to those Nepalese soldiers, Nepalese people who died at this fort for the nation, for the soil of the Nepal. Thank you very much.
Samajkoawaj.com